the first edition of the Monthly Logs. Name in progress, we'll figure that out later on. But essentially the idea with this show is I just want to talk about kind of two different things. I want to kind of review my personal music journey through the past month, things that I've been listening to, projects I've been doing, new listens I've heard throughout the month. Basically, what have I been listening to all that month, and kind of seeing where that, has guided me. And then I kind of want to look at the rest of the world, kind of what the music world is like for the past month. And we're going to kind of look at what the Billboard Charts are looking like. We'll look at different music news, big headlines that have happened, as well as different album announcements and releases that will be coming out soon. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off by kind of just talking about a little bit about the current projects I've got going on this month. Right now, I am working on a deep dive with some friends of mine. We're going to be doing a new show that's going to be on this channel as well. It's going to be called Sonic Safari. Should be coming out in hopefully a couple of months or so once I finish what I'm doing. And I also kind of want to have about 2 or 3 ready to go, so I can kind of release them on a more consistent basis. So that way, each month, hopefully, we can have a new Sonic Safari episode come out and kind of keep that on a more consistent basis. But the one I've been doing to start off, they'll all kind of be more of a mystery as we move on. But I'll go ahead and at least reveal the first one. The first one is going to be the beloved Korn, which was just kind of a spur of the moment with a couple of friends from my one of the discords I hang out in. We just kind of we're exploring 1994, which happens to have the Korn debut. And going through that, we were listening to it, and you're just like kind of listening to it, and you're like, I actually don't really hate this. Like, Korn had a great sound to start with. It just felt like everything that came after it was always trying to live up to that, and never really did. And it kind of got sucked into the nu metal black hole that was forming at about that time. So then they felt like they had to up it in that sense. It's interesting. I don't want to go too much into it. I want to save all those thoughts for that show when we eventually do it. But that is one of the big things I have been listening to. That will be represented also in the top artist you'll be seeing very soon. As I did say with that as well, also still diving the year 1994. As of right now, I'm going to see how many albums I've gotten to. I have roughly about 57 listens right now for 1994. So there's still a couple of big ones I definitely want to still do. But we'll see if I want to make that into its own video series as well. Possibly, maybe. We'll look at it. We'll definitely take a gander at that idea. And then the other thing I'm also working on right now is I just did start up the Ween deep dive also with Taste Like Music. They will be having that come out probably in a week or so. So I'm definitely behind on that. But I really do want to listen to more of that group. Seems like it's right up my alley. I had a lot of fun with the debut record. That's all I've gotten so far. So we're going to be moving on from that, and I can't wait to explore the rest of this very interesting discography. But first half of the monthly logs will always be dealing with my own personal music journey. Thankfully, I do have Last.fm, so I'm able to track what my stats were throughout the month. For the month of April 2024, I had a total of 3,651 scrobbles total. Now, it sounds like a lot. It's actually less than the past months, which were pretty much more. I had a couple of days where I actually did not listen to much at all. Like, really surprising for me. I did move this month, so kind of days where I was rearranging everything, getting everything all set up, and just kind of, just basically didn't have music or something. I think I had podcasts going for some of those and different things going for that. So a couple days I didn't listen to any music, but we still fit in about 3,600 scrobbles, 1,150 different artists, so 1,150 different artists, over 1,712 different albums. Really, really interesting. I am, as I've always said, I'm very interested in all types of music, so Those will range from electronic to rock to rap to country to fucking Celtic New Age to theme songs to classical to whatever the hell fucking pops up into my little mind and piques my little interest. The top 5 artists, though, that were scrabbled. Number 5 was Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick, obviously, I've gotten in that mood. We'll explore it a little bit later as we talk about the music news of the month. But essentially, with that diss track that came out at the beginning of the month, this month has been all about kind of taking in everything that's going on in the rap game right now, because this is probably the biggest beef we've had in years. In the rap game, between two of the biggest heavy freaking weights that you could get in the game. This is the kind of shit that rap has needed for a long time. So we're going to dive much more into that in a bit. But with Kendrick Lamar, definitely also just mainly exploring Good Kid, Mad City again. There's something about that album. I still say, I think it's one of the best concept albums that was ever made, period. In the sense of how well it tells its story, how well it immerses you in the environment of its story, the words, the lessons that you're learning from the story. Like, I just think that it's one of those things where it's like every single thing when you're going down and grading this, it's just straight A's. It's a straight A concept album. Top 5 concept albums ever made. I almost would even be as daring as to say it could be number 1. But that list will change every day. So, number 4, Grizz will be there with 47 scrabbles throughout the month. Grizz, you probably will see them on this list many times, because Grizz is easily one of my favorite artists out there. I come from a time when I was growing up, and when I was getting to college, I got into the original dubstep movement. So I was a big fan of Skrillex, of Excision, of Noisia, or of Rusko, of all these guys, Feed Me, Flux Pavilion, Dr. P, all these guys. That was my shit. Loved listening to it. Fell off of it, and then eventually roomed with someone who took me to festivals again and got me super back into it. And it's kind of cool the way that the whole scene has exploded. There's so many different sounds, there's so many different subgenres really that you can dive into, and you can really find the stuff you like. If you like the loud, crazy, blah 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 blah, you know, you've got your fucking Excisions, your Riot 10s, your all these guys, the heavy motherfuckers. You got them. They're out there. Midnight Tyrannosaurus, one of my favorites personally for all that kind of heavy rhythm kind of stuff. You know, if you want your heavy wonky bass, there's plenty of that. If you want some with a little funk feature, there's stuff like that. And in fact, touching on that topic, that is where Grizz lies with basically the funk step, kind of this really cool fusion of those electronic sounds with live instrumentation. Grizz's shows are incredible. He has a full live backing band that is playing a lot of his stuff. The man himself plays the sax, and he'll go on a sax solo every now and then and just kind of play it over the music. His music has the ties to the sax in there, so it makes sense when he does pull it out. He's a very interesting artist. He is unfortunately going on a hiatus. That started at the beginning of this year, so that was sad. But I can't get enough of this man's stuff, dude. To me, it's just such a fucking great listen every time. Always gets me in such a great mood. Grizz, easily probably one of my favorite electronic artists out there right now. If you haven't heard him, I would definitely suggest something like Daily Routine or Good Times Roll. Something like that. Something that's nice, fun, upbeat, and just kind of gets you moving. Number 3, My Chemical Romance, baby. I was an emo kid back in the day. My Chemical Romance, another one that will probably find its way onto this top 5 artists of the month list every now and then. This time, it's there because I watched a video on someone who was watching or listening to that album for the first time and watching their reaction. It was super cool. As to the Black Parade specifically, as again, that's another one that I would right up there with Good Kid, Mad City. I'd put that up there as one of the top concept albums ever made. A very concise, complete story, very well told, very well immersed in the atmosphere of it. Just again, straight A's down the list. Great fucking album. My Chemical Romance will always be on there. They had 49 Scrabbles. For number 2, it's Portishead. Again, doing the 1994 dive, finally heard Dummy. I've heard a lot of things about it, but never really dived into it myself. And on a first listen, it was kind of like one of those things where I was like, yeah, I definitely see why people like this. And then that was back in like the beginning of March. And then in April, I just went back to it just to kind of see how I feel about it now. It was unbelievable. It was like it just, the whole thing all of a sudden felt like it, I don't want to say made sense. It just all clicked. Everything about it just kind of came together. You kind of realized all the different things that really make it so cool. The voice of Beth Gibbons is unbelievable. It's incredible throughout the entire thing how much great control she has in her voice. How she's able to, kind of keep it soft, but also very expressive, still very glowy, very great sounding. Incredible album. Can't get enough of it. I keep listening to it more and more, and I'm not getting tired of it at all. So 73 Scrabbles for Portishead. Number 1. And this will come anytime you're diving a solo artist. But with 86 Scrabbles right now, I've got Korn at my number 1 for the month of April for listens. An incredible and very interesting group. I've gotten through 5 albums, I think. So we're working on that. Getting through there. We're going to start getting into some real edgy territory. Real rough roads coming ahead. So we'll see how that definitely goes. My top 5 albums for 2024, April. I've got a tie at number 5 with Mad Villainy, and with Grizz Rainbow Brain, both with 26 Scrabbles. Mad Villain, easily one of my favorite albums, just one of my favorite albums of all time. 2 artists at the peak of their creativity, just coming together, working on something at the same time. Incredible, the way that turned out. And Rainbow Brain, I don't know if I would say it's my favorite Grizz album, but I think it's the most complete, interesting listen, as he has interludes that act as the transition between songs. So it's almost like a full DJ set that he's put to an album here. All new material. It's a full DJ set with transitions and everything. It's just a full seamless listen. It's a cool way to spend an hour, listen to some electronic music with those light funk touches. And I absolutely love it. Number 4 is Pink Floyd's The Wall with 28 Scrabbles. What is there to say about Pink Floyd's The Wall? It hasn't been said before. Another absolutely great concept album, as you can tell. I really like concept albums. But yeah, Pink Floyd's The Wall. Played it for a friend who had never heard it. And it's just an incredible piece of music. Number 3 is Cheek Face, It's Sorted. Another great album, just came out this year. Very much like the irreverent attitude. It's I've always been a fan of bands like Cake, They Might Be Giants, stuff that has that kind of weird off-kilter sound. Cheek Face is probably one of the best bands doing it right now here in the year of our Lord 2024. So very fun listen. Number 2. Should not be a surprise considering where they were placed on my artist list, but My Chemical Romance is The Black Parade with 47 Scrabbles. Can't get enough of it, man. I'll listen to that album. I don't know if that album will ever get old for me. I can throw that thing on, listen to that, and it puts me right in my happy place. And number 1, Portishead's Dummy. Again, sometime at the beginning of this year, not the beginning, the beginning of this month, I gave that second re-listen. Absolutely fell in love with it, and just kind of, I think it was actually the soundtrack to one of the days when I was moving a lot of my stuff, when I was driving in my car, moving all my shit. I'm pretty sure I just listened to that album on repeat for most of those drives. It was just, I just couldn't get enough of it, man. And then number 5, top 5 solo tracks. Number 5, Portishead's Sour Times. Again, absolutely fantastic track. Gibbons' voice is phenomenal. Sounds really good. Number 4, Flatbush Zombies, your favorite rap song. Great closer to the Odyssey album, which is still probably the best Flatbush Zombies project. One of my favorite under the radar rap projects of the 2010s. But that last song is a great ending to the album. It's about it's a 10-minute track. I'd say about 5 to 6 minutes if they're actually rapping, and then the last back half of the track is like voice messages from like their fans, which is kind of cool too. But yeah, mainly the rapping on that part is just what really gets me. I can't get enough of it. Number 3, Ariana Grande's Into You. I missed the boat. I missed the boat on Ariana Grande. I completely did. I didn't listen to I didn't know a single Ariana Grande track until probably like 2021 maybe. Completely missed the train on her. And then it was kind of the things I had heard weren't really doing it for me. I think the album that was like, all right, starting to really get into new music. Ariana Grande put out Positions, and I just was like, what is this? This is like this big pop artist that everyone's loving. Like, all right, doesn't shock me that I'm not surprised or blown away by a pop artist, but I expected a little bit more. Somehow, it took me until just this month to find Into You, and I'm like, this is to me the perfect melding of the EDM sound and aesthetic with a pop touch to it. Sometimes it's like, okay, you get a pop song that has like a little bit of EDM elements, and then a lot of times you have an EDM song that has pop elements. Something like a Zed's Clarity, where it's like that's an EDM song, fully song structured like an EDM song, build up, chorus before the drop, and do it again. While like this song has kind of, it kind of fuses the drop part into the chorus, where a lot of those EDM sounds are coming in and really providing a strong foundation for Ariana to have a very catchy, very melodic hook over top of this that just really wraps the whole thing up, puts a big bow on it, and is like, here's a full great track for you to listen to. And I can't get enough of it right now. Just cannot get enough of it. It's so great sounding. I love everything about it, man. Number 2, Cheek Face, Popular 2. Talk about great hooks and great melodies. The melody on this hook is timeless. I'd have to do a little more research to kind of find it, but it sounds like it's something that's, kind of been around. It's a very familiar melody, I guess is the way to say. It sounds like something that's existed forever, and then someone finally just put to music. But like that chorus, and I'm never ever gonna be alone here in your community, neighborhood, home. Like, I don't know, the way that builds is so great. It's so fun. It's such a cheerful sounding song with such nihilistic, like, odd lyricism that just makes for such a cool listen. And again, Cheek Face just doing that irreverency absolutely wonderfully. Had 22 listens on that song. Again, when I find a song that I like, I fucking get into it. And then number 1 was Wandering Star by Portishead. Another one where, again, Portishead sandwiching this top 5. I listen to these albums. I miss that album a lot. I love Wandering Star. I think it's my favorite song off Portishead, off Dummy. I really love that little, trumpet synth part that kind of will, like, everything cuts out for that little part that just kind of like, brings us back into the next thing. And then it comes right back in, brings everything else back in. It's just a really cool little bridge piece, and I enjoy it a lot. It's my favorite song off of the album, and again, Beth's voice sounds great, so everything about that just really works out great. I am going to throw on here as well I don't know which way, I haven't done this in editing yet, so I don't know which way I'm going to put this, but I do have my 10 by 10 chart of what I listened to the most throughout this month. And as you can see, there's a lot of different stuff on here, very eclectic, different sound. You know, we're bumping from, you know, the Fugees to In Vogue to Dua Lipa to things like DJ Shadow and Deltron 3030 to rock stuff like AFI to Metallica to Blink-182 to System of a Down to Devo to Jimi Hendrix to everything. The things that kind of stand out here, stuff that I would like to even kind of mention or talk about. Alien Ant Farm, really interesting, really cool. New listen came out in 2024. I want to say the week before this one. The week before I'm recording this video on May 2nd. So April 26th or something like that, maybe. This album came out. And like, you know, you don't really know what to expect from any kind of legacy pop punk act, you know? A lot of them are really bad at coming back and doing something. It's not really been anything that any band has ever been really good at, per se. A lot of bands have their sound and then 20 years later try to do something different and it just doesn't work out very well. Alien Ant Farm, I mean, for what they were, I would say that this is about on par, if not maybe even better than some of the stuff they even recorded back in the day. I actually really liked this album quite a bit. Much more than I thought I was going to. I came into this expecting, like, here we go. Here it is again. Like, here they are. Like, get ready to throw in the bottom. Not even close. Actually, really cool album. Really fun listen. If you like pop punk, I definitely would recommend giving it a shot. Give it a, you know, see what you think about it. Obviously, some other great things on here. Stevie Wonder's Intervisions. Did that for a track elimination. That was a lot of fun. Great album. Great album. 5 out of 5. It's not even close. Stevie Wonder was on a hell of a roll back in this time. And this album, I don't know where I'd put it. I mean, it's definitely a top 5 Stevie album. I still think I'd have Songs in the Key of Life over this. Maybe. This might get some points just because it's a more concise listen. But I don't know. I think I like more songs on Songs in the Key of Life than I think Intervisions has songs. So. Then obviously Taylor Swift's in there. We're going to definitely talk a little bit more about Taylor Swift quite a bit in the coming minutes or so. But yeah, my top 5 new listens. So the first time I had ever heard these albums. We are going to eventually do new listens, my top 5 new listens of each month. But that's actually going to be on a different channel. That's going to be on my friend's channel, Just Play It Loud. I'll leave a link in the description to a link there. But I will be joining my friend Tavi and a friend of mine, Vanessa, where we will be talking about our favorite new albums of each month. So that'll be coming soon. Again, I'll link a description. I'll link put a link in the description to that channel. Love him. Absolutely love the guy. He's my boy. He's my boy. But for the top 5 new listens, these are basically going to be like the first time I've ever heard it. So it could be something from 1969, but if it's something I had never heard before and it was the first time I listened to it this month, it has a chance to be on this list. It will probably, this list will usually probably pertain more new listens, more 2024 listens, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. For my top 5 new listens, number 5 was the debut album for Ween, God, Ween, Satan. Coming into this, all I knew about Ween was that they're like a comedy group, you know, in a way. They're a comedy group that has actual playing chops. And yeah, I feel like that's immediately what you get listening to this album. This is, I mean, the story of this album is that this is their greatest hits compilation of stuff that they recorded in high school. I believe it was just recorded on like tapes and whatnot. But I mean, they go through different genres, different crazy sounds. There's a hardcore sound, there's polka sounds, there's country kind of sounds. They really explore a lot of different ideas and sounds. They're not afraid to really go. There's no place they're like not afraid to go. The playing again is phenomenal. All of it comes together for a really, really cool, fun listen. Great introduction to the band. I am definitely interested to hear more about them. Number 4 was Dalek with the album Absence. And this is like proto Death Grips kind of rap shit. Trying to remember what year this came out. I want to say it was 2004-ish, somewhere around there, mid-2000s. But very abrasive, experimental, noisy rap instrumentals. But the thing that really gets me is the vocals, the lyricism. It comes in so strong and so hard. Really just kind of brings the whole thing together. You know, obviously, you know, you have something that's very noisy, very hard to get into, but then you have this very familiar voice and sound that is still giving you something to look at with all the chaos around to focus on. And I feel like they do that very well. Enjoyed that album a lot. It was a great recommendation from a friend of mine in our Discord. And yeah, really liked it a lot. Number 3, Vampire Weekend's 2024 album, Only God Was Above Us. What can I say, man? It's it's Vampire Weekend, baby. It's that old Vampire Weekend sound, very Baroque pop. Love it. I love that album more. I even checked it out again last night because I was kind of wondering. I was like, let me see what I thought about that. You know, where I've come to land on that album. And yeah, it's still about the same. It's just really great music. It's done very well. Very enjoyable. It could even still continue to move up on my list right now. Right now, Vampire Weekend is my 14th album of the year. So, 14th best of 2024. Pretty good place to be. My number 2 favorite new listen of the month was Super Furry Animals with Rings Around the World. This was another one that was a recommendation from a friend. And it's awesome. It's a very strong Beatles sound almost to it, throughout the whole thing. Really cool, expanding instrumentals. Just really well put together in every facet. Really great playing, really great lyrics, really great singing. All of it really comes together for such a fun experiment. And then my number 1 is another new listen, my favorite new listen of the month. You'll probably see it on there. But Buzzard with Skinwalker. Wow, what an album, dude. Again, another one that was kind of a recommendation. I hadn't seen them. Someone mentioned them and told me said, could be right up my alley. And they were absolutely 100% right. It has a very strong, like, almost want to say like a Queens of the Stone Age kind of bass foundation to it. The guitars have that very strong fuzz to them. The singing kind of ranges throughout, but it's very strong. It's very engaging. Great album altogether. Also another one I checked out just again last night, kind of see what I felt about it. And yeah, I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted Buzzard or Vampire Weekend to be my favorite of the 2024s, but I ended up having to land on Buzzard being that one. That is my 12th favorite album of the year as of right now. So pretty cool. We're going to go ahead now and move into the world of music. So everything that's going on right now in the world, these are all going to be things that are subject to stay or go. If there are any segments that you like, please mention them in the comments that you like them. If there's anything you want to see, If there's anything you want me to touch on or any ideas that you want me to try and throw in here, I'm always thinking of them. But if you've got some, throw them down in the comments. I'll definitely throw them in my my little suggestion box, which is not a trash can. I definitely will be taking all suggestions, all those kinds of things, very seriously. If you have any questions as well, I'll even make a segment where I'll touch on that, and I don't know, maybe the top 3 voted comments or something. I'll have those be questions that I'll answer or things that I'll answer. But the first idea was going to be looking at the top 10 of the billboards throughout what was the billboard looking like on April 1st? And then what did the billboards look like on April 30th? It's going to be really interesting too to watch this one, because one's kind of funny. At the beginning of the month, it was absolutely kind of cool. You know, Ariana Grande was on there, not too surprising. The Future and Metro Boomin', that album had just come out, I want to say like March 28th, so it was, you know, it was right on people's minds. It came just, you know, straight right out. For 5, half of the top 10 is Future and Metro. So, really cool. Young Metro, We Don't Trust You, Cinderella, Type Shit, and Like That at 9, 8, 6, 2, and 1, respectively. And then, of course, Jack Harlow somehow finding his way in there. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I don't really care for Jack Harlow. I find him to be possibly one of the most boring artists in rap, personally. But, you know, you have a nice little, like, you know, selection here. You know, there's a nice variety. On the other hand, though, when we get to the end of the month, Taylor Swift, fresh off a release, it extends to the top 14 songs are all Taylor Swift. It's, oh my god, dude. It's wild. The juggernaut that is Taylor Swift right now in today's day and age, it's probably worthy of its own thesis. Just, I mean, and then like it extends throughout the entire fucking list, throughout the entire 100. Taylor Swift, I mean, I would almost say each of those 31 songs has a possibility of being on this list, and it's very interesting. As for the songs that I do like, I did like But Daddy I Love 'Em. I do like Fortnite. I still need to digest more of this record, though. It really is. It's a very dense record. It's got a lot of words. You know, it's a lot of things to soak in, to take in, to, you know, kind of digest. I'm not the biggest fan of the album. I like it maybe more than Midnight's, but it's not somewhere that's very high on my Taylor Swift listens list, which is fine. You know, the stuff I like, I really like, but this is just another one of those, like, I just personally think she needs to take a break, chill out, cook something, you know, stop grabbing snacks and throwing those out and serving those up on a platter. Give me a fully prepared cooked entree and serve it up to me. That's what I want. Into some of the big news from around the world in music. Obviously, starting off, the Kendrick and Drake diss war. That all started from that Like That track off of the Metro and Boomin' Future and Metro album. And Kendrick came in hard. Came in there. Fuck the big three. Brother, it's just me. Like, this man came out and made a declaration. And it's... the shockwaves have firmly moved throughout the rap world. J. Cole responded, then subsequently apologized just a few days later. It's interesting, because part of me says, you can't say that you're the number one rapper anymore. If you're going to come out, make a diss track, and then apologize and say you don't want to do it, then I don't think I don't think this is Jerry Seinfeld. I choose not to run. I choose not to battle rap. No, brother, you are in it. You're tapping out. You were at the starting line and you tapped out, and we're not doing it anymore. So stop saying that you're the best. You're good, but you're not the best. And you yourself have basically said that. But then again, I also see it from the side of like, I don't know, imagine being J. Cole and you're just like looking up and you're like, I have to battle rap this dude. I have to battle rap a Pulitzer Prize winning rap writer. Like, what do you got, man? What do you want to really get into this? Do you really want to do this? I think J. Cole's best thing would have been just letting it go by. Just hide in the bunker, wait until the bombs stop, then come back up and be like, "Ooh, all right, I had that classic album I was talking about. I got it right here." That would have been your best idea. That'd have been your best thing you could have done. But you didn't. You came out and he said something, then completely walked it back, and I think a lot of people probably lost some good respect for him. So, meanwhile, Drake did fire back with Push-Ups and then an AI track featuring Tupac, which nearly got him sued by Tupac's estate, which is a whole fucking mess. Push-Ups, though, has its moments. We'll get into who I think wins as of right now, who I think is winning. But Drake with Push-Ups, it was kind of, it hit pretty hard. It hit more than the Like That track. But then Kendrick, just 2 days ago, on April 30th, dropped Euphoria. This is the one that I think it's not on the level of like Ether or even Story of Adidon. I don't think it has enough bombshells, has enough like, startling revelations like Story of Adidon did. But I think Euphoria is a scientific dissection of Drake, like surgical shit. Comes in with the soft R&B, like I'm gonna just talk to you real quick. When with the beat switch up comes in, verse 2 starts kind of loading up even more, and then by verse 3 it's just ba 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 ba, just keep coming in, hard hits, hitting, just throwing haymakers. And we'll see if Drake can come back from these. But I mean, as of right now, this song is incredible. But the real question is, so what? Is Drake too big to be brought down by rap disses, by rap battles? Do rap battles and rap disses even have the same effect that they had back in the day? I don't really know if they do. Story of Adidon didn't bring Drake down, despite the fact that it had basically saying like, you are a deadbeat dad hiding your son from the world that you had with a porn star. Like, Story of Adidon brought like undressed Drake and showed a side of him that a lot of people didn't, know about. What did it do? The rap world, the rap game, rap fans definitely heard it, saw it, and it hurt him a little bit, but it obviously didn't break him. And I don't think that this has the same firepower that Adidon did, but the difference that this does have is that it's not just Pusha T. Pusha T is well known in the rap game, but Drake doesn't just operate in the rap game. He operates in the R&B and the pop sphere. The pop fans are not hearing a rap diss track and hearing that, and it's not going to have the same effect on them that a diss track will have on the rap fans. The rap fans can be like, "Oh yeah, I don't fuck with that guy anymore." Pop people will just be like, "Oh well, I like this song, so oh well." So I almost even see it as a microcosm of the music industry as a whole, where Kendrick is making art. He's pushing different sound palettes. He is going for strong instrumentals that are well thought out, well produced, well made, well performed. He's a masterclass in lyricism and writing. So you're also getting, absolutely just, well written rhymes, bars, all these kinds of different concepts. You get concept albums. This man's putting together albums that every song fits together. And then you have Drake, who is essentially throwing 20 to 30 songs on an album and just saying, here you go. Enjoy it. Listen to it, get me some money, put some listens, get me some placement on the charts. Cause that's all he cares about. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care. I don't think you can convince me that he really cares about his standing in the rap game. And if he does, he's an idiot. Because that's not the group that's going to back you. That's not the group that's going to hold on to you forever. Your pop fans, your R&B fans, the mainstream sphere is who likes you. They're the ones that are getting you your money. They're the ones that are going to stick by you no matter what the fuck you do or say. Unless it comes out that you diddled Millie when she was 16. Like, I really don't think there's a single thing that will actually bring Drake down. I think he's he's basically like a too big to fail bank. He is, he's on a monolith. This is probably one of the best chances of someone bringing him off of that pedestal would be someone of the power, of the influence of, Kendrick's caliber. This is someone who could actually come in and, really put up a good fight. I think unless Kendrick has something that is actually like cancelable, like you were fucking with 16-year-olds, you were doing this, whatever it is. I think there has to be some real shit that Kendrick has to know about Drake, and that's to come out about Drake before Drake will see any kind of, coming off of that giant pedestal he's basically got for himself. So, I don't know. We'll see how he does, how he responds. We'll see how that goes. I hope it continues. I hope this rap battle fucking continues. I'd like to see the dirt that Drake thinks he has on Kendrick. I'd like to see what Kendrick has on Drake. Level it. Full scorched earth. I mean, obviously, this is my first video, so you guys don't completely know my taste, but I've come into this very biased, of course. I'm not a Drake fan, and I am a Kendrick Lamar fan. So, take that for what you will. Apply that bias to everything I've just said, where I was talking about how I think Kendrick wins so far. But to me, this is like Drake poking, and Kendrick is loading up punches and throwing them. So, we'll see how that goes. Again, I want to see it go as far as it'll go. But I also think that the farther it goes, I do think, Drake is too big to fail. But he is also, as long as he doesn't fuck it up, someone else will have to find their way to fuck it up. Drake is the only other one that could ruin his own standing. I say that, but at the same time, I don't know, man. If honestly, never mind, this is still people are still fighting for that album and saying that's good shit. I got nothing for you, man. I just feel like you got the Drake glasses on, the Drizzy shades, and you're looking at everything through that. The other music news I kind of wanted to touch on was, of course, I will not make a note. I will not make a habit of this. But with the album, number 1 being released just last week, and number 2 with the fact that it completely clogged up the Billboard charts, I feel like it has to be mentioned. Taylor Swift. Obviously, new album, mixed reviews. But the big thing I really want to talk about it, because I feel like it... I read an article from Bloomberg, an opinion article. Taylor Swift is proof that how we critique music is broken, by Jessica Carl. I will link that article also down in the description. But Jessica raises an interesting point about how music reviewing, I think in general really, is just broken and reactionary these days. Here's a quote from it. In the age of half-baked hot takes on online forums, anyone with a smartphone can word vomit their thoughts into the ether, many hoping that they get picked up by the algorithm. It brings up really the question of whether it's possible to digest an album of 31 songs in a span of from midnight to 8 a.m., put out an article saying what you think about it. You know, it really, it's very interesting because, you know, you look at the album critiques, the album reviews of that album, and each of them is very hyperbolic, ranging from this is the worst thing Taylor Swift has ever put out, it's worse than everything, to instant classic status, which, I mean, we can get into that. I don't think you can have an instant classic within a week of talking about the album, within a week of its release, but I digress. But essentially, like, how can we fully soak in an album and put out a full review of something in a matter of a few hours? I feel like if you're able to, you're partially saying that you think that the music doesn't have that much density. There's not much to think about. If you're able to put out an album and put out a review and put out a whole thing about it within 1 to 2 listens, I think you're saying that there's not much there. I think you're saying that there's really not that much to dig into. I got everything I needed out of the album within these first 2 listens, and I didn't need to dig more to discover anything else about it. Because I look at the albums that I like, and I mean, I very, very rarely give something a 5 stars off like that. I'm a pretty nice reviewer. I'm fairly generous. 3.5 is like my baseline of like, you know, 3 is like, you know, it was all right. I liked it. I probably won't listen to it ever again. 3.5 is like, it has a chance to grow. And if your album is grower, you know, there's plenty of albums that just kind of continue to grow for you. And those are hurt in the landscape of having such quick reviews, where you don't have that time to digest it, to really take it in, listen to it, sit with it, come back to it, revisit it, and see if those feelings still stand, if those feelings grow, if you really find nothing else new. I feel like it's very important to give these albums a chance. Obviously, in today's day and age, in the way that, you know, popular media is, how quickly things are able to come out, how quickly things are able to be produced and be moved. Obviously, I don't think, you know, this is going to stop anytime soon. But I would say that if I was ever going to trust a reputable publication that was going to do music reviews, it would be one that would be taking their time with albums. I like to think of, just an example off the top of my head, just thinking right now, Anthony Fantano, obviously, the Needle Drop. He went through a video talking about how he listens to albums. I might try and find that link in the description below as well. But basically he says he listens to albums 3 times at least. He gets one where he's just kind of soaking it in at face value. Give me, you know, what am I in for? Number 2, where he's kind of more focusing on the music. And then number 3, where he's really focusing in on the words, how everything fits together, and all that. 3 listens sounds like a pretty solid baseline of where you want to be. Obviously, we don't have the time to listen to every album. Like, we don't have time to listen to every album at least once. So to listen to them 3 times, it makes sense why it's not done very much. There's a reason why he does that for the albums he's reviewing, because those ones he's going to dedicate a full 10 to 20 minute video on talking about it. So it makes sense that he's going to pick and choose the ones that he wants to dive into more. But ultimately, it's a very interesting point on just music reviewing nowadays, where we have so much content. There's just so much music. Every Friday, there is 30 plus albums that are being released every given Friday, unless you're in December or January. But for the most part, for 10 years of the whole year, every Friday you're getting like 20 to 30 albums every week that, like, you know, you don't know what you don't know what you're going to get into. And to be able to pick and choose which of those you want to review, which of those you want to dedicate a proper amount of time to really digest and really fully get an album, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to figure that out. It's not easy to figure out which ones you should dedicate that time to which ones you should, give that special treatment. But at the same time, an album review of something where you've only listened to it once, it's, I feel like it's a very take it or leave it review, where it's like, are you really able to fully say what this album is about with one listen? Were you really able to take in everything that this album had to say and offer in one listen? I don't know. I would like to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Absolutely would love to hear the ideas on that, because that's just something I think that really this is just fully in effect right now in this world. I think everyone wants to be a music reviewer. Guilty right here. Guilty 100%. Everyone wants to be a music reviewer. Not many people have the time to do what I think really needs to be done for proper album reviews. But those are my thoughts on that. We'll get into our last little segment here, which is the new album announcements that were released over the past month. Got some pretty cool ones. I've got 4 that I found that I'm very interested in. Eminem dropped a promo video for the death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. His 12th studio album, due out summer 2024. Very interested in seeing what this is going to be about, especially with a name like the death of Slim Shady. Slim Shady being his problematic alter ego that was born from his time in D12, and that pretty much helped launch him into stardom in his late 90s days. But obviously, Slim Shady is one of those things where I don't think you could do the same thing now. I think if Slim Shady, especially with the way he talked, like, people even nowadays are still trying to cancel Eminem. Imagine if it was like coming out brand new and you had, some of the lyrics that are on the Marshall Mathers LP. Like, number one, I think if the song Kim came out nowadays from an artist of the stature of what Eminem is at, I think that would immediately be one of those things where, like, I think done. Like, get off the train. It's like the reaction on social media would not have been good. That song is a rough listen. But some of the other things he talks about, stab you in the head, whether you or Les, like, he was very very unafraid to say what he wanted to say. And obviously, he's kind of come around on the whole idea. His whole thing is, I don't hate anyone for just being who they are. But it would be interesting to see what he's going to do with the Slim Shady persona on this album. Is he really killing it off? Is he going to give Slim Shady, the time on this album where he's going to have his chance? Like, is this his last time of being able to say, like, to do his Slim Shady shtick? Or is it basically like he's just going to tear it apart? It's really interesting. I cannot wait to see what that album's going to look like, what that album's going to sound like. Summer 2024. So it's coming. Normani, debut album announced. That is also going to be out in the summer. That one we do have a date for, though. June 14th. Should be interesting. Haven't checked out any of the singles yet, but plan to. Lorde, also teasing a new album on IG with some IG posts. No due date. It's only speculation. but she seems to be revving up the cycle again. So I'd love to see hear a new Lorde album. Solar Power, I wasn't great on, although I do think one of my favorite Lorde songs is on there. So Stone at the Nail Salon, I know I don't think a lot of people share my opinion on that, but I absolutely just adore that song. I think she sounds great on it. And then Billie Eilish, who seems to be reinventing herself a bit, but this is one that's coming out in 2 weeks. Hit Me Hard and Soft, her third studio album. Very excited. I like a lot of Billie Eilish's work. A lot. I think her debut album is incredible. I thought the second album was a cool step forward in her sound. I don't think she could have done the dark, edgy teenager shit that was on When We All Fall Asleep forever. So I do think she made a nice transition into something a little more mature, a little more grounded, but there's something just about the aesthetic of that first album and just the sound and atmosphere. It felt like a more concise, full project. Well, the second one definitely felt like trying to take that and evolve it. So I feel like it's the awkward evolution of that. I'm very interested to see what this is going to be. Again, it's not going to be too long until we find out. Just 2 weeks, May 17th. But should be very interesting. And that is it. That's going to be the first show. It went on longer than I expected. I was hoping to make this a 20-minute show, and it's already a fucking hour. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and leave it there. Tell me what parts you liked, what parts you didn't like. Leave those comments for me down in the comments. Completely open to all and any and all criticism. I'd say try to make it constructive, but I understand that that's kind of hard to do nowadays. So whatever you got, leave it for me. Tell me the things you liked. Tell me what you think about Taylor Swift and music reviewing in general in these days. Tell me what you think about if you think that if there's a possibility that Drake could even be brought down, if you think that he is just a too big to fail entity in the music world. Whatever it is. And shit, tell me what your favorite artist is. I don't care. Leave some love in the comments because I love you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your days.